Zoom has definitely passed again. The email definitely works. Today was a bit cold, but now warming up. Good. You got yours on the 25th. Well, at least you got it on the 15th. Good. Hello, how are we all doing? Super excited to see so many of you here tonight. Natalie is here. Natalie, give us a wave. How are you feeling, Natalie? Because we all missed you last week.
Well, I put some makeup and a dress on because I saw the email and I'm like, I'm going to get out of my PJs. Yep, week 3 of COVID, and it's no joke, but it's fine. It's
It's
so
July, for the love of God. You're not allowed to have
I
COVID until at least
know.
November.
I can see Nicola here, but I was like, I went to London, I did it, I came back with COVID.
That will teach you for being sociable. How
I
dare
know,
you leave the house?
I know,
How dare you leave the house?
but I'm
Ladies,
fine.
it's so good to see so many of you. So before we get started, I would love to find out if you have ever, if you've ever used PR to grow your business.
Mm.
If you've ever used PR to grow your business, I know some people in here are crushing their PR right now, and some of you might not have even thought about it. Karen says no, Sharon says yes, and a big smiley face. Sharon's loving PR. Nini says yes. I've been in the Sunday papers, Lizzie. Good job, Julie Kenny. Julie, I feel like it's the right time for you. Karen says no, not a clue. We've got a yes, no, eek. Are you frightened? Do not be frightened. No, not yet. No, never. Wouldn't even thought and wouldn't know where to start. I think a lot of people are like that, Anita. Maybe they've considered being in the press, or maybe they've kind of had that inkling in the back of their mind, but they don't know where to start. And Natalie is going to talk to you about all of those things today. And remember, there is no question too silly inside MIP. Any question that you have, please drop them in the chat box and a hashtag question before you ask the question, just so I can make sure when I'm reading through your comments that really stands out, and so that I can see when you're asking a question, so I don't want to miss any of those important things. Does anybody have any questions before we begin? You were speaking with Natalie in coffee and chat, and that gave me the encouragement. Oh, that's amazing, Lizzie. Natalie is amazing. She's absolutely awesome. Does anybody have any questions before we begin? Speak now or forever hold your peace. No? Awesome. Let's begin. Natalie, I have made you co-host, my love. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so lovely to see all of you, and thank you for bearing with me last week. I don't think I left my bed. Okay, I do have PowerPoint, but it is totally interactive. So if you have questions, ask, shout out. I'm really not precious about any of those things. I want you to go away feeling like you can do this, because I believe that you all can. So my talk this evening, I'm going to go speedy because there's a lot to cover, but I'm more than happy to share the slides afterwards, and I know Leona is recording. So I've got onion rings, hopefully not to offend anyone because it was chicken nuggets to start with, and yeah, but why PR is your secret sauce to visibility success. So I'm just going to start off by talking about me. And this is the only time I'm going to talk about me this evening, but I hope that it'll kind of help you and set the scene of why I'm here, why I'm talking to you. I'm not just some random off the internet that Leona's found. I've stopped counting the years, but I reckon I'm heading towards 30 years in PR. I did an art history degree at university, which was not very helpful, but I then went and taught English in Tokyo. And when I got back, I needed a job. And I started off in the Bessie Crocker press office. Actually, I started off as a receptionist and I was utterly rubbish at the phones. So they just put me on an account. So I started off doing the PR for Bessie Crocker and QuickSave. That was nearly 30 years ago, and today I still work in the world of PR. I've tried to get away from it, always brings me back. So today I'm a fractional head of PR and comms for corporates, but I'm also a PR trainer and mentor for business owners. So amazing women like you, who I believe, I've said here, I believe that PR is for everybody. They want to get in the press, but there are lots of reasons why they don't, and we're going to come on and talk about that too. I'm also a guest lecturer at various universities. I teach a master's course for the Chartered Institute of PR. I'm a mentor. I do have a PhD pending at some point in my life, maybe just not now, because I also have a very, very sick dad who has Alzheimer's, teenagers, 2 sons, and a husband who's a workaholic. I've written 3 different books. One of them is a PR book. I am 70,000 words into my first novel. I'm an ICF accredited coach, and I live by the sea in Devon, which I absolutely love, and I will be celebrating 8 years here on Thursday. I actually came across MIB about 3 months ago when I was absolutely at my most rock bottom point, discovered Leona and Charlotte, who is the leader for Newton Abbot, and to say that it has changed my life. I can be a drama queen, but it has changed my life. So I am absolutely shouting out Leona and Charlotte and Cara and all the amazing women in this group, because the first call I just came in like a snotty mess. So there are lots of PR coaches. What makes me different? This isn't me, but you know, we can dream. I was blonde once. This is what makes me different. So I have worked for a lot of companies. I've worked for Cartoon Network. I've worked for CNN, Discovery Channel. I represented Brad Pitt. I've done James Cameron submarine launches in Amsterdam, The Crocodile Hunter, you name it. I have PR'd it. I've also pimped my kids out in the name of publicity and awareness raising. And we're going to talk about this, but this is what makes me different. I've got 2 sons, Eddie and Lucas. Lucas is 15, and probably the most spirited child I know. But when Lucas was 3 months old, he was diagnosed with hip dysplasia. And for the first 7 years of his life, he was, and I know some of you have heard this before, but he was made and rebroken multiple times. So when he was 4 months old, he was put into a frog cast for 6 months. When he was 2, he was in plaster from nipple to toe for 6 months after his leg was broken and twisted and repositioned. Metalwork was removed. When he was 6, he had his pelvis broken and reconstructed and bolted back together. So I have a busy brain and an entrepreneurial spirit, but having a child who's constantly in hospital in cast does not make for a board member in a corporate PR company. So I decided to write a book about hips because there were none, and also decided to set up a charity. Do not do this. This is not a good idea whilst trying to keep your marriage, sanity, and children together. But I did it. And I did it because I sat on a hospital ward one night with a child that was broken, other mothers. I saw some really horrific things, and there was nothing. I had nobody. I had my dad who lived in Norfolk. I had nothing, and this sick child. Every time he was broken, I looked for something else, and it wasn't there. So I wrote my first book, Cast Life. And I PR'd the shit out of the book and my child and hip dysplasia. And essentially, I had the skills from my career, but I used publicity. I used the power of PR to put hip dysplasia on the global map, to sit on boards with Great Ormond Street, to win awards, to become this international hip dysplasia expert. I hate needles. I hate blood. But I used to go on round wards with doctors, and actually at one point Lucas had his pelvis broken, and this young man came up to the desk with a copy of my book asking for it to be signed, and he was a registrar from Great Ormond Street, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course. So my whole point is, yes, I had the skills to promote Brad Pitt. Yes, I could get Cartoon Network all over the press, but to actually get myself into the press and cut out the noise from people who said I did it to sell my book, I did it because I wanted to get my kids money, ridiculous things. And this ties into what I'm going to talk about today. I did this so that other mothers did not have to sit on hospital wards with broken children alone. So today we have a network of thousands of families. I think the Facebook group alone is airing towards 6,000 people. So if we take how many people are in each family, I'm not good at maths. That's a lot of people that now have support when their child is diagnosed. And that's because of Lucas. And that is the power of publicity. That is how you can get yourself as the expert you are, not me, a mum on a mission who has learned about operations and orthopedic surgery. You are experts in your field, which means that if you want to, get into Stylist, be in Fabulous, be in Red, Grazia, on Sky News, on BBC Breakfast, all of the things that I have done for my clients, but also for myself, then you can do it. And that's what I say. If I can do it, you can do it. Because I can teach you how to do it. And as Leona said at the beginning, how many people are doing it at the moment? Because I know there's many, many reasons why you don't do it. I still think about, well, I don't actually, because I really don't care anymore. But certainly there were points when I received messages about whether or not I should be pimping my son out, whether he should be photographed with the Daily Mail. Actually, we've saved lives. I've stopped someone from committing suicide who was a teenager that needed a hip replacement. She found me because of Lucas and my book. And if that isn't powerful, she's a teacher today getting married. Had we not been there doing what we did, she wouldn't be here today. And I hope that shows you just how important your messages are, because I know you all do amazing work. You all help build lives and businesses, but there's a lot of reasons why you may not be getting into the press. As I said, I'll send this afterwards because there's a lot to cover. Loads and loads of reasons. There's a lack of time. I'm sure that's why Leona does the calls at this time of night, because we can kind of slot it in. So lack of time, yes. The uncertainty where to start. Well, the good news, you start now and you start today. There's this perceived lack of newsworthiness, but I will show you how we can create that news. There's also this misconception that PR is only for celebrities. Taylor Swift was not born on the front of the Sun newspaper. Beyonce wasn't papped on the stairs of the hospital she came out of. Yes, some are born famous, but not everyone is. There's a lack of resources. So things like not having professional websites. Well, you've all got a phone. Oh gosh, that wasn't meant to happen. You've all got a phone. Not having a website. Charlotte's on this call today, and I've just left her a message about websites. Even if you have a landing page, there's other materials. It's not a reason not to do it. You've got no contacts. Well, I would imagine that most of us this evening haven't met each other. None of us started school with friends, and none of us, I think, are Billy No Mates because we have MIB. So not having contacts is not a reason not to get into the press. I think there's a lot of feeling of self-doubt, and it comes back to the celebrity perception and this idea that PR is just for celebrities if people have already made it. And there's lots of these ideas that go around people's heads thinking they're not good enough, they're not smart enough, they're not making six figures, they're too early in their business. That is when you need to start. Because what we want to do is take people on that journey. We want to take people on the journey of our business and tell our stories, because that is how they will get to know, like, and trust you and support you and then cheer you on when you do get into the press. And there is also this fear of rejection. Now, I can teach you everything and you still might not get into the press, but that's because it's called PR. It's not advertising. So if you take 10 grand and you put it in one advert, you'll be on the back cover of Vogue, that's fine. But PR is being resilient, it's keeping going, it's being strong enough to pitch again and again and again, something that you are all capable of doing and you have to do in your businesses anyway. So that fear of being rejected, the worst thing that can happen is they don't reply. Or I might have been blocked once or twice earlier in my career for sending something that really was very, very not what they wanted, but I teach you not to do that. The worst they can do is not reply. And it's a numbers game. We pitch enough times, we will get into the press. Those are lots of the reasons. But what about the smart reasons for why you do get into the press? There's loads. There are absolutely tons. It helps growth and expansion because more people are seeing you, because it gives you increased visibility. You're talking about this stuff anyway on your social media, inside MIB, in your newsletters, at talks. Let's just take it one step further and get onto a bigger stage, which is the press. Because you think about, I was counting up something a couple of months ago, and I did a piece about Kim Kardashian's pants, and it was in Fabulous. But not only was it in Fabulous in the UK, it then went into The Sun in America, and then it was picked up by MSN. So the collective number was something like 200 million eyeballs on that one piece of coverage, with it saying Natalie Trice, PR expert. So that is what we're looking for, because that gives you credibility and trust. Not anyone is just kind of willy-nilly going to say, oh, come on then, right, you can write for us. It doesn't work that way. And therefore, I don't talk about PR so much as being public relations, but a personal recommendation. So even like this evening, Leona has given me her platform because she's personally recommending me and my expertise and my ability to her audience. And that's what we're looking at. When we do that, it can drive traffic to your website. Again, please see Charlotte. It can boost your social media presence, which goes into everything that we're talking about in visibility today. Someone sees something that you've written in Metro, you will see a spike because they'll look at your link online from Metro. They'll see a spike in your website traffic, but also in your following on social media. So that's really important. It establishes you as an expert. And as I said, if I can become a global award-winning HIP expert, you can do this for what you're qualified in. It helps with community. It makes your voice stronger and bigger, and other people in your industry will see it. So that, again, I always talk to clients and people to say, you want to be part of bigger conversations. You want to be in bigger rooms. What bigger room is there than being in Red Magazine or Good Housekeeping? That's a big room with a big reach. It's not a quick fix. It's not going to make you millions unless maybe you get an Oprah with your soap at Christmas. That could make you a lot of money, but be ready. But over time, when it builds all of these things in, your social media, gets people on your newsletter, it gets you more speaking gigs, it means you can enter more awards because you've got that credibility, it can help drive sales. And let's face it, it's a really good feeling. 30 years in, when I'm in the press or one of my clients, so Nina got something the other day, Leona gets things, I love it. It's a great dopamine hit. And to see your name or your clients' names in the press is why I do my job. Because I know that it's good for their business and it's good for their cause and their reach. They are the reasons why you can do it. There's lots of more, I'm sure. But today I want to talk about 3 being the magic number, because I want to give you something to actually go away and do. I could teach you for probably the next week, but I've only got a very small amount of time. So 3 is what we're going for today. Think about in your business 3 things that you say on a consistent basis. So 3 things. I'm going to use the hip analogy because it's a really easy one. So when I was starting out in my navigation of hip dysplasia, 3 things that I would talk about: late diagnosis, what to pack in your hospital bag, and how to fit a baby in a body cast in a buggy. Those were 3 things that I was talking about all of the time, because every mum who had a diagnosis, probably wasn't expected, those were the 3 things we had to talk about. So just think about, I'm just going to close my door while everyone's cooking. So just think about 3 things that you say in your business or about your expertise on an ongoing basis. And I bet you'll all have them. There'll be more than 3, but there'll be things that you will talk about often. So Leona, mums in business, nomadic traveling, making money online. So just, all of those things that are really, really simple. I'm going to see if anyone's got any questions just while you're jotting this down. Just three things. Yeah. So 3 things. Everyone got 3 things. Anyone stuck? If you're maybe starting out, you might be stuck, and I'm very happy to help. No, everyone got 3 things. Okay. So let's take those 3 things. Now think about, where do you talk about those 3 things at the moment? So when it was HIPS and DDH UK, which is the network that we created, the places I would talk about them would be in our Facebook group, it would be in the newsletter, and it would be at events. So I'd go and speak to surgeons and schools and, I don't know, baby groups and all those things. So 3 places where you talk about your 3 things. And that should be easy because you've been following MIB and you've been looking at all these different things, get your message out. You've also got your website. So that might be another thing as well. But I find if we keep it to 3, it's actually something that is doable. Okay. So you've got those 3 things. This is where it gets fun or hard. Now we want to think about 3 places in the media where you can say your three things. So you're already an expert because it's your business, it's the service you offer, or it's the products that you create. You're talking about them already on a consistent basis on your website, on your social media, in your newsletter, at events. Now, this bit is really important because as I was talking about the kind of budget when it comes to advertising, and I'll see if I've got a magazine here, which I have. You've got a decision. Well, not if you're Dior, but you can get this one back page. Say you got 10 grand, that's it for the year. That's all your marketing spend. You can get this one page on the back of Red, or you can put your time, money, and energy into publicity. But as many people know, you need to be in the right places. And therefore, you need to know who your ideal client is. So who are you talking to? And those three places have to be, for it to have an impact and for this to work for you, the media that your audience consume. So again, if we're thinking about Hips, it was Families magazine because it was a franchise. So they had multiple magazines in multiple regions, and I had a column at the time. So Families magazine, it was also baby websites, and my audience was also medics, was kind of medics. So I also had things like Nursing Times, Nursing Standard, and GP. So they were kind of like three key places where I wanted to see my name and hip dysplasia and DDHK in those places over and over and over again. So I simply became synonymous with hip dysplasia. I'm rapidly trying to undo that work because, you know, anyone's granny or budgie or dog has hip dysplasia, I get a message. But this is what we want to do for your business. And this can be the thing that I think trips people up a little bit, because you don't always know. You know your ideal client, but a lot of people don't always know, or what do they read? They might not just be reading though. So they might be listening to podcasts. They might be looking at blogs. It could be newspapers, it could be magazines, it could be newsletters, radio and TV, but also local. So we think about TV and we instantly think of BBC Breakfast and the Red Sofa, but actually local TV. So that is kind of what I want you to think about, is the three places. And if you don't know, the best thing you can do is ask your audience. So you can do a poll on stories if you're Instagram. If you've got a Facebook group, you can ask in Facebook group, what magazines do you read? What newspapers do you read? What's your favorite podcast? You can put it in your newsletter as a question, or you can even ask your clients when you're speaking to them, or you're at a networking event, just trying to get that information about them. You can also ask me because I have a busy brain that's done this for a long time, so I kind of know what media people consume. But this really is the magic of knowing where your people are and what media they consume, because then you can use your energy to get into those places. You don't have to think, well, I've got to go and pitch all of these places and I've got to talk to all of these people and I've got to get on CNN and I've got to do... No, you haven't. We have to do it so that it's something that is consistent in your business and you are in the right places for the right reasons. And so it's really getting to grips with where are those places, and from that you can just focus, if you want to, on those three places. Read those magazines, read those newspapers, listen to those podcasts, watch those TV programs, and think about where do you fit in those places. So if you said to me, well, I want to be in Red magazine. So I work with a lot of female business owners. They want to get themselves into the press. Where do they want to be? Red, Good Housekeeping, Platinum, Grazia, Stylist. There we go. That's 5. What you could do is take 3 of those things, go to Smith's and just have a look at those magazines. Buy them if you want to, take pictures. The other thing that is really helpful is there is an app called Readly, which is Readly. You can get a free trial, and it's basically like a library, and it has all the magazines in the world on it. And you can go and have a look and you can do searches, you can find yourself, all of those things. But if you've said, okay, Red is one of the places I want to be, just make sure you actually fit in there. Is it that you have a shoe company? Well, if you do, you can you can put your products for these pages. You can send them your shoes so they can wear them and test them out. If you're a nutritionist, it might be that I know that they do pieces about how to eat well for menopause, how to get enough, how to drink enough water every day, those types of pieces where your name can fit into the magazine. But I would say that if you are a fitness trainer for men, you're not going to be in Red magazine. So there's no point in pitching them, but you would be good for men's health. So we just have to do a bit of a puzzle of actually looking at, what do you talk about? Who are your people and what do they consume? And then making sure that you are in those places. So again, it was for things like Families Magazine, it was Q&As, it was interviews about what it was like to be a hospital mum. It was the lowdown on what to take into hospital, how to adapt your house, all those kinds of things. So really just starting to, and again, I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want you to think about 3 places and then actually look at them and make sure, is that the place? And then we get further into contacting them, which we call pitching, which is literally an email to say, I'm here, do you want to write about my shoes? It's not difficult, but I think if we can get these foundational parts right, of who is your ideal client, what media do those people consume, and are we the right fit? You're the first stage, because then you know that you've got it right. It's then a numbers game of pitching those places and selling yourself into them. So that is an overview, but also at the same time, the secret. I talked about source at the beginning, but really the secret sauce to getting into the press is believing you can do this. Because I know some people will go, and it's not for everybody. It's hard. It's not hard so much in terms of actually doing it, but the vulnerability and the being visible can be very scary, because we'll think, well, what do the mums at school think? What does your husband think? What do the kids think? What does my mother-in-law think? Essentially, at the end of the day, none of these people are building your business. You are. These people are not paying your bills. You are. So if you can get over that first hurdle and then believe, because I bet you, because I do it and lots of people do it, you'll see someone who's in your field, she's always in the press. She's always in Good Housekeeping. I call her Susan, and Susan really gets on my nerves. And it's one of my kind of drivers. I don't want Susan to get that piece, I want it. But if we don't put ourselves forward, we're not going to get it. And that's usually why the other person has done it, because they've actually put their skin in the game. So if you believe that you can do it, and you can, I don't know, have a vision board. I have a YouTube video which helps you to actually create a media vision board. Have that belief that you are good enough, that you are smart enough, that your business, let's face it, if you've got paying clients, you're good enough to get into Fabulous. You're good enough to get into Stylist. You know your stuff, but believing it and then taking what I teach you or what other people teach you further is going to help you get into the press. And that really is my belief. 3 things. What do you talk about? Where are you talking about them now? And where could you talk about them in mainstream media? Because that will help you to get more visible. And then you can run around sharing it like Nina, who just is everywhere. And more people will see you, which is what we want. We want people to know that you're there. And if you don't do it, people won't know you're there. And that is a disjustice to the people that need you. And I know some of you are doing some amazing things. So if you don't tell them where you are, they're not going to find you. And I can preach that a lot. So that is my talk for you this evening. I am doing another one next week, which is about Christmas, because we are nearly in Christmas in PR world. Actually, we're well into Christmas. But more than anything, please believe that you can do this, because you really, really can. And it's not difficult. It's consistency, it's knowing what you're talking about, and it's just doing it every single day. Questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I'm very happy to take questions and answer anyone's questions if you kind of not sure where you fit, not sure what to say, how to get started.
Okay, we have a question. I think
Yes.
my target is older generation stroke grandparents. How do I find them? I'm trying to not assume they aren't on social media.
Okay, so grandparents, let's go. Some of them will be on social media. My grandma's 90. I know when she's on social media because I get 56 likes on Facebook in one go, but old. True story. I see Nicola laughing. It's a true story. Okay. These people, they still love the Express, the Mail, the Sunday papers, traditional media. You're going to find them in those places. Tell me what you talk about, because some of them will be on social media, but then there's also things like Reader's Digest, The Lady, Platinum Magazine, I would say Top Sante, radio. They're going to like radio because they've still got the radio on in the car when they're driving to the
Radio
shops.
4.
Radio 4, local radio. Do not underestimate the power of local. Devon Live is a website, but Spotlight, BBC Spotlight, BBC Radio Devon, your local radio station, make friends with them because they'll keep you coming back. Nicola's seen this. They keep her coming back. They keep them coming back because they need people who want this and are brave enough to do this as well. There's a brilliant site, Helen, called 60 Plus Surfers. Actually, Jenny, who's the editor, gate crashed one of my freebie webinars. And I ended up doing a mini interview with her during the session. And she was saying, I want to be pitched. Because if you think about grandparents, they've got their lives, but they're also investing in their grandchildren's lives. So how do they navigate? I don't know. Let's take the example of internet safety. And you might think, actually, something like 60 Plus Surfers or self-defense, how to keep safe yourself when you're older, or how to keep your children safer. I always talk about PR as an onion because it starts as this very small, one piece, but actually as you take back all the layers, there's so many different elements of that. So I think with them, you've got a lot of things.
My uncle Engelbert is 85 and he went on Loose Women the other day. Like, he's like a 50-year-old, honestly. I'm sure he thinks he's like at least.
There you go.
But the grandparents, they love him, and every time he's anytime he's in any sort of press, I get like 85-year-olds that message me, oh my God, I just saw your uncle in the newspaper or, on TV, and they get very excited about it. So don't underestimate grandparents because they have a whole lot of sass about them, and they're absorbing all of the press, right?
Absolutely. Plus they have not generally, and I hate to start, but they have more time. My grandma just bought a very large TV because she can't do much because she's not very mobile. Her eyes aren't great, so she got a bigger TV. So that's a lot of her consumption, but she watches a lot of news, and she watches a lot of London news. She reads the Daily Mail and believes it. Not good, but there's a lot of capacity for that. So this children's adult bright clothing. So things like Helen, do come to the free session next week about Christmas in July. So gift guides at Christmas, always presents. You could talk about things, I don't know your business, but I'm guessing you could talk about things like sustainability. So buy it once, hand it down through the generations, which I'm sure Leona does many times. You could talk about the benefits of wearing bright clothes. You literally, you could put that statement that so you've got sustainability. You could talk about the rise in pre-loved. You could also talk about, I could go off on so many tangents, but you can talk about the fact that charity shops are having a harder time because people are selling their stuff on Vinted rather than giving them to charity shops. So it becomes massive. It really is so many parts, but that is why I say to you, 3. What are the 3 things, Helen, in your business that you talk about the most? And where are 3 places that we could then, it's almost like you want to transplant that content from your newsletter, from your website, from your socials into 3 bigger media outlets. So it could be 60 Plus Surfers, it could be The Lady, and it could be Reader's Digest. Those could be 3 places. And you're like, okay, I want to be seen in these places on a regular basis because we don't want to be Chesney Hawkes. We don't want to be a one-hit wonder and live on that forever. Well, we might, because he seems to have done pretty good, but it's a good analogy for PR. Generally, we don't want to be Chesney Hawkes. No. We want to be sustained in our coverage. And then you want to become the go-to for that thing.
Chesney is a legend. Is it bad that I don't even know who Chesney Hawkes is? Like, obviously I know his name, but like,
Don't worry, you're fine. You're young. It's fine. Some people will get, but you see what I mean? It's like, oh, I've been in red once. Great. I went for a job interview once and they said to me, "Oh, you've got big boots to fill. We're in time out." And I was like, today? No, last year. Within 6 months, they had been on every TV station. They had been in every newspaper, every magazine, and I had a deaf blind girl wing walking in a documentary. It's not once. Once is never enough. We want it multiple times because that will get you to be that go-to. Okay, so
the only person go home. I know the song. I am the one and only, but I have no idea who it is. Some of us are under 40. All right. Okay, so we have more questions. Hang on, let's come back to that. Annie said, "What would you say makes a good pitch?"
short. Okay, I'll do a very quick masterclass in pitching. So when we talk about pitching, you're literally going to a journalist and saying two things. One, you don't know me, but I've got something good I think belongs in your publication. It's this. Do you want to cover it? I can send you photos. Or the journalist, like the things I put into my membership, is saying, I need a fertility expert like Amanda to talk about this. And Amanda says, dear Sarah, I've noticed that you need a fertility expert for bump and baby. I can help with X, Y, and Z. This is my website. Let me know if you want my help. It is short. My friend Gail used to be the editor of Pick Me Up magazine. She had 17,000 emails in her inbox one day when we were talking. Journalists don't have time. You need a headline that doesn't say press release. You need a headline that sticks out like a sore thumb. So there's a really brilliant website called subjectline.com. You can use it for subject lines for your newsletters, for your pitches, for your press releases, something that stands out. So I did a project the other day. I'm a board member of a charity called Spark UK, and Stephen Fry is helping them with something. And so I think the headline I came up with something like Stephen Fry sparks joy for Christmas and mental health. Now, if that drops into a journalist inbox, what's the difference between that and press release? Open and delete.
So can I just shout out Natalie, because Natalie did our new chicken project that I'm doing with Hopeful Handbags, and it was like a no freaking brainer. What did you send to journalists to make them pick that up? Because it was amazing.
Okay, so we had that chicken thing, and I was in bed with COVID, so it wasn't my finest hour, but the headline was literally, why did the chicken cross the road to save lives in Kenya? That was my headline for my email and my press release. And I literally wrote a press release, which is one page. And again, I can teach how to write a press release, but journalists will just read it. They'll be like, what is that? Then it was just like, dear Amy, hope you're well. MIB and Hopeful Handbags have gone into collaboration and are asking the general public to buy a chicken to help save lives in Kenya. Bearing in mind, most of us spend more than £3 on a Happy Meal. This is a no-brainer. That was my pitch. When you send pitches, that's it. The press release was copied into the body of the email. No attachments. Do not send PDFs. Journalists hate PDFs because they cannot copy and paste them and they are a nuisance. Do not send images. Send a link. So I pitched something to someone in America today, and I just had a link with my images in a Google Drive. Short and sweet. Do you want me? Yes or no? Essentially, you've got seconds for them to read it, skim it. Now, the reason why I say don't get disheartened was because when I sent that one out for the chickens, well, Amy was on holiday and she didn't come back to me for a week. And then there was another one, wasn't there? The London Daily News. And again, that was a couple of days. I did a PR live session last year with 3 journalists. We did a panel, and Kelly, who writes for a lot of consumer magazines, she's very diligent, she's very good, she's very old school. She keeps the emails. She might not go back to the PRs and say thanks very much, but she keeps it. She's got folders. Like me with my magazine, there's some things. It's okay. This is a good example. Yomu is a magazine, health and wellness magazine aimed at women. I don't need to know about Viagra or male incontinence or male hair loss. It is a magazine for women and their health and wellness. That's what I'm asking for. So if I get anything that says man, I pretty much delete. Anything about nappies for babies, I delete. So I might have a big inbox for the magazine at one point, but actually it very quickly gets deleted. So you need to know who you're pitching and what they write about, which is why I say 3. Get to know those places inside out and back to front. Are you right for them? Because if you're not, they won't talk, they won't cover it. And it'll just annoy them and it'll make you feel a bit rubbish because they're not coming back to you. But if you get it as right as you can, so if I pitch myself to John at PR Week, it's right. I'm a head of PR for corporates and PR agencies. Who reads PR Week? PR agencies. That's a fit. He's not going to take every pitch because he's got thousands of people who want to be in PR Week.
Right. Absolutely. And these skills are transferable into your social media, right? Lots of you are pitching me on a daily basis. There has got to be something eye-catching for me to stop and listen. Cara, I've got to shout out Cara. Cara pitched me. Her pitch was friggin' hilarious. I could not possibly ignore her. And so I agreed to work with her on her terms because her pitch was so good. And so you want to understand that when you are pitching people have a ton of stuff to get through. So you want to be standing out. So we'll take one more question because I'm conscious of your time, Natalie, and I don't want you to be any more poorly than you are. Anita said, how do you find the emails? Now, obviously, this is a big question because emails are going to be hidden behind. These people aren't going to make this easy for you, especially the editor of Vogue. You know, you're not landing Anna Wintour like that. But there are obviously some things, and so Natalie can help you in her membership and her courses and all of her fun stuff. But where, if you wanted to get quick win PR, where would people be looking?
Okay, right, here we go. Quick wins. Where to find email addresses? I've told you to go to Smiths. I've told you to look at Readly and look at where you want to be. Every magazine is called a masthead, but it's basically like a contact page. They're giving it to you. Actually, they are giving it to us, Leona. It's just we're used to having everything on a plate.
Right.
We have to do research. So I would say take the 3 places, go and follow those 3 places, read them, watch them, listen to them, follow them on social media. Most magazines are on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is your own secret database for the press. You don't have to engage, but they've all got their email addresses on there. So if you've got Good Housekeeping and Vogue as your 3, read it, follow them. And the one tip that I will give you is use Twitter, and there is a hashtag journo request. One word. You put it into Twitter once a day. You go to latest, and journalists all over the world are asking for Christmas products, comments on Trump, comments on Biden's resignation, comments on whether George Clooney will be the next president. They're looking for prizes. They're looking for experts. I know, right? They are looking for things every day. Again, going and looking, you can pay for services, but you can go and look at that every day. And there are opportunities. You can get into Forbes. You can get into Red. It's time. So the thing that I would say is delegate time. Look at that once a day, or, you know, however you structure your week, have an hour a week dedicated to PR. You're already creating the content. Your website is your PR. You just need to turn that content into something that those 3 places need and want.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I know everybody's taken up so much away from it. So, question before you go, where are your 3 places?
My 3 places?
Yeah.
Okay, so my 3 places, my top place is Forbes. I really want to be in Forbes. I will, yeah, I know. We're going to have to get a buy one, get one free, or pitch one free.
I need to be in Forbes again, by the way. Just I'm putting it out there. I am going to be in Forbes for the 2nd time, and I would like to be closer to the front. And eventually, I would like my face on the front cover. Just I
always say go big or go home. We're not messing around here, are we?
Small.
I'm not playing small. Forbes, PR Week, and PR Moment for my corporate work. Yeah. So those are, but quite often you'll find me pimping myself out to the world everywhere, pretty much. Fully clothed always, but yeah.
What's the thing? Forbes under 40. I better get to work. I've got a year and a few months. So
It's all doable.
right on my sleeve. Let's go. I reckon if Mib harasses Forbes enough, they will put us back in. What do you think? Like if we just really annoy them. And we actually did once. We wanted to be on Loose Women many, many years ago. Some of you kind of older, more established Mibs will probably remember we just hammered Loose Women so much that they were like, they actually did comment back like, what is this? Like, who is this? What are you causing all this noise about? Because that's how you get what you want, right? You gotta
keep going. Yeah. Once is not enough.
No.
That's all I will say. Once is not enough. You have to keep, like I said, you don't just want to be in the press once. You want to be in the press all of the time, which means you've got to pitch. I mentored a girl at Westminster University to an entire PR and comms degree, and then she said to me, "But have I got to look for a job every day?" I was like, "No, you have got to look for a job every hour, and then when you get the job, you have got to pitch every minute."
Yeah.
You know, people think it's fluffy and they think that it is, you know, champagne, and Nicola knows that some of that is true, but actually, if it works, it's not an add-on to your business. Your public relations is integral and holistic to everything that you do, because this is all I'm going to leave you with. What do you want to be known for? I don't want to be known for hips. I'm having to undo that very good PR so that I'm known for what I want to do. So think about, and then every time you write a post, you write a chapter of your book, you put something in Mib, you introduce yourself at a networking event, does that take you closer to being what you want to be known for? So that when someone says your name, so if someone says PR, I want them to say, "You need Natalie." Or if someone says Natalie, they're like, PR and good shoes.
Yes. I love that. I absolutely love that. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Right, ladies, this will be sent out to your email, hopefully with the right link. Louboutins. Cara, you want to be known for Louboutins? Is that what you want to be known for?
No, I had a picture the other day. I tell you what.
Oh, yes, you did have a Louboutin.
Natalie's got the Louboutins, not me.
They're very uncomfortable. They're very uncomfortable. You don't need a pair of Louboutins in your life. You need a girl needs a pair of Converse, right? Because Louboutins are not comfy.
I wore them. I tell you what, those Louboutins, I wore them to my sister's wedding. I had a beautiful dress. My hair, it was great. It was at Hever Castle. No one knew that I had bog rolls stuffed down the red of my Louboutins because they were half a size too big. But they looked good.
Girls. The things we do as women, honestly, it's just hilarious, isn't it? My cousin, I remember her telling me when I was really quite young and very influential, she had a Balenciaga handbag. She's my wealthy side of my family. She had a Balenciaga handbag with a broken zip, and I was like, "Why is the zip broken?" She was like, "I can't afford to have the zip fixed." I was like, "What is this life? You've got like a $5,000 handbag and you can't afford for the zip to be fixed."
Okay.
How the other half live, right? How the other half live. So there we are.
No call for them on the beach in Devon. Thank you so much. But any questions, always ask me. But yes, go to Smith's, go to Asda, go and look at the magazines, and let's get you in the press.
So you need to go and check out Natalie. Please go over and give Natalie a review, whether they're on her Facebook, on her LinkedIn. She's collecting reviews right now. If you want to check out Natalie's training, we'll make sure the link is in the group. And for those of you that are already in the hub, Natalie has done a training for us and expanded on training. So go and check that out. Make sure you watch Natalie on replay. She really knows her stuff. Go and implement it, because that's the only way it will work. PR is not going to come and knock on your door. You do have to go out there and do the work. And you get to choose. One of the things that Natalie's really taught me is you can say no to stuff as well. Because I've done a lot of press in the past, and actually I was like, "Natalie, I don't want to do this, and this." She's like, "You can choose, it's absolutely fine." So you do get to pick, and you do get to sculpt a career that makes sense to you, and a level of visibility that makes sense to you also. So take care. I'll see you over in Mib, see you over in the hub. Love you guys. Have an amazing one, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Have a good one. Bye bye, guys. Bye.